opening words are from Bishop Carlton Pearson, and they're from his book. You gotta love this book title. God is not a Christian, nor Jew, Muslim, Hindu. God dwells with us, in us, around us, as us. Again, those were not the opening words. That was the book that the opening words are from. But I think that's so nice, I'm going to read those again before I read the words from that book. God is not a Christian, nor a Jew, Muslim, Hindu. God dwells with us, in us, around us, as us. And in that book, Bishop Pearson writes, truth resides within each of us. I've come to believe that authentic truth is not so much learned or taught as remembered in the deepest recesses of the soul and the self, the ultimate essence of the spirit of which we all partake. These words call us into this space and invite us to remember that this is a place for us, a place to come and find where truth resides, in the world around us, but also where the truth resides inside of each of us. Sometimes we remember that. It's like an uncovering of what we already know to be true. Will you please rise and body your spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We're going to sing this through twice together, and then we're going to do it in a round, starting with this side and then this side. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wander, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. This side. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever. Come, come, whoever you are. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, one more time, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are. Last time. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Please be seated.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Central Oregon. My name is Pat Cayley. Whatever your age, income, skin color, identity, or life story, you are welcome here. No matter if you are full of joy today or your heart is hurting, you are welcome here. If you are in person or on Zoom, you are welcome here. If you are watching this on a recording on the website, we're sorry we missed you, but you are still welcome here next time you can make it. If you're new, an especially big welcome. During the summers and about once a month for the rest of the year, we have a lay-led service organized by our worship team where we get to invite a guest speaker. Today, it's our privilege to have Reverend Micheal Harris to talk about spiritual mentorship and his own spiritual journey. I'll formally introduce Michael later, but now it's time to light our chalice.
The fire starter this morning is Greg Byrne. I'm Nancy Tyler. The chalice reading is by Sean Gibson, A Wild and Holy Vision. We light our chalice in the spirit of transformation. Nothing stays the same. Everything moving, shifting, changing. Guide us all to a wild and holy vision of our shared humanity.
As we sing our chalice response, Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Hello, I'm Leora Mock, and I'm your fellowship administrator. No, I'm the operations director. Sorry about that. Forgot who I was for a minute. Vacation will do that to you. You have all of the announcements in the Skyline and in the A, so I'm not going to read them all to you. I think if I tell you the exact time of the potluck, you probably won't remember anyway, but you can find it other places. And so today I just want to highlight 3 things. The first is that on Wednesday we're having our first foray into possible handbell choir ringing, and so there's going to be a workshop. And if you read music, come at 6, and if you don't read music, come at 5. Regardless, you're welcome to be here the whole time, and that should be super fun. We're having 2 more fire safety cleanups this coming Saturday, the 16th, as well as the following Saturday, the 23rd. Come, stay for 30 minutes. It's a lot of work that you can get done in 30 minutes. If you can stay for 3 hours, stay for 3 hours. But no matter what, bring your gloves. All of this stuff out here is prickly and ickly, and it'll get under your fingernails, so bring your gloves, hand tools if you've got them. And then the last thing I want to highlight is that our adult spiritual development team is hosting a new spiritual book club, and they gave the title of the book out sometime in late spring. It's called The Awakened Brain, The New Science of Spirituality and Our Quest for an Inspired Life. So I don't know if the book is longer than the title, but we're going to have a discussion of it on Sunday the 24th, and that'll be here in the sanctuary. We'll do a big group thing. Reverend Scott will be here as part of the leadership of the group. We might break into smaller groups. If there are 40 of us, we'll have, 5 or 6 groups, and if there's 80 of us, we'll have more, and either way, it's going to be great. So that's what I've got for you this week. All right, talk to you later.
Thank you, Leora, our operations director. My name is Scott. I did not mention that earlier. I had the good fortune and honor of being the minister of this congregation. My pronouns are he and him. Job titles matter. They're important. And I have a very, 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 very exciting announcement to make. We used to have in this congregation a congregational life facilitator as one of our job titles. Chayla retired, and with her we also retired the job title of Congregational Life Facilitator. And I am very excited, very, very, very excited this morning to announce to you that we have hired someone for our engagement coordinator position. That person we have hired is Laura Pitney. Perhaps you know. Perhaps you know Laura. She has been a member of this congregation for some time. To tell you a little bit more about her, she is where we ended up after a long and thorough process of talking to a lot of folks and exploring what this position is and what we hope for it to be for our future. Laura was raised in the heart of the Bible Belt by a scientist and by a recovering Episcopalian in Atlanta, Georgia. Although many of her friends went to church and youth group, when she asked her parents why their family didn't participate, she was just told, "Nature is our church." Despite their secular leanings, Laura still pursued an interest in spiritual matters, starting in high school, and then shocked them all when she dropped out of her graduate program in social work to join a monastic East meets West spiritual community in Western Massachusetts in her early 30s. That is a far cry from nature is our church. 10 years and countless hours of meditation later, Laura moved to New York City and began working for the Natural Resources Defense Council. In 2016, she and her husband, Joel Pitney, left New York for Oregon to be closer to family and return to her roots in nature. Together, they own and manage a book publishing and promotion company. Laura, Joel, and their son, Jackson, began attending UUFCO in the fall of 2002 and became members the following February. If you have been a part of our Women's Connections, you might have been a part of her facilitation at those meetings and events. We are incredibly excited to welcome Laura and know that she brings with her a wealth of experience working with nonprofits, and I know that she has a deep understanding of community, what community can be, and how it becomes deeper together. She understands the complexities of relationship that are inherent in building a community. And if that doesn't describe what we do here, I don't know what would, and I can't imagine a better qualification for someone for our engagement coordinator. Please help me in welcoming again, Laura Pitney.
I'm really excited. I'm excited to be serving this congregation. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I'm surprised. I got involved, Scott said 2002, but I'll just give a little correction, 2022, so more recently. But it was a deep and fast entry into this being a home for us. And after having had a lot of spiritual experience and then a big break from being involved in any spiritual community. And so to be able to be in a position where this place started to serve me and to serve our family, to then come and be able to serve back feels like it couldn't have been anything other than that. So I'm incredibly honored. And I just want to share a short story. I know I have like 2.5 minutes, so I'm going to say it, as concisely as possible, and you'll learn about me. I'm not always the most concise person. I was sitting here in the front on June 30th when Shayla, or 29th anyway, she was giving her final kind of farewell address to all of us. And I love Shayla so deeply, and she has been an important mentor for me. And so although I already knew her spiritual journey, I was sitting there hearing it again with a deeper appreciation. And as she was talking about her path, I was realizing that level of inquiry and pursuit and curiosity about life and who we are and why we're here, although had grown in importance over my life, I feel like as I'm sitting there, I'm not doing enough. I'm not giving enough. I'm not exploring enough. That isn't a heavy enough weight in my own life. So I start crying as I'm sitting there. Many of you may have for your own reasons. As I was sitting there, I was having this kind of heartbreaking moment, and I have had several of these in my life, and they have been life-changing moments where I know that I need to go in a certain direction, and in order to do so, I have to let something go. And that letting go of something hurts. It isn't easy, and I know it's inevitable. So I'm like sobbing. And the service ends, and I just stand up, and I turn around to hug my husband, and I say, I have to quit our job, like our business. Like, I have to quit. He's like, oh, okay. So that was not inspired by, oh, Chayla's leaving, and now here's a job I can have. Because that was a big decision. We've been building this business for over 10 years. It was a decision of I have to make spirit and community and serving the world that I live in a bigger piece of who I am and how I'm dedicating my life. And so over the course of a not very long time, because it's been like 5 weeks? Not very long, here I am. Okay, so wow, that's like big. So I just offer to you the last piece that is what really struck me about Chayla's delivery that day. This is going to be in my own words because I'm not good at quoting without reading. She was talking about a quote from the Bible. As you heard, I did not get raised on the Bible, but this really spoke to me. She basically said, based on Thomas? Is it? I think it was the Gospel of Thomas. Yeah. Gospel of Thomas. If there is something in you that is yours to give, your unique piece to give to the world, and you give it, life will rise up to meet you. The universe will rise up to meet you. And if there is something that is yours to give that you do not give, it will kill you. It will destroy you. So, here I am.
Good morning. My name is Amy Brock, and I'm the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth, and it is time for all ages. So if you are young or young at heart, we invite you to find your way to the rug. All right, our story today is about circles. Can you guys try to draw a circle? Can you try to draw a perfect circle? That's a good circle. Can you try to draw a circle? Let me see you. Is it hard or easy to try to draw a circle? Kind of easy? Yeah. It's hard to make a perfect circle, though. Oh, but if we have something we can trace, it gets a little easier. I think that might help us think about our story today as we explore it. Our story today is called Circles All Around Us. And you can draw circles on the carpet while you're listening to the story if you want to. Can you draw a circle all around your body while you're waiting? You got it. You almost got it. Close. You got it. There you go. All right. Circles all around us. This is one of my favorite stories. We begin by drawing a circle all around us. We can draw it on the ground, around each shoe. We did. A safe little place for one person, no one in this circle but you. You could keep that circle closed to everyone, but that would be like a library with just one book on the shelf. So you can draw a bigger circle for you and your family to share. Now you see what all can happen in a circle full of care. It becomes a happier circle as more loved ones come to stay. And wouldn't it be even better if all of your friends could come and play? So you stretch and draw your circle even bigger and bigger than it's ever been before, and you let a few more people know that they're welcome to come in. In the circles all around us, everywhere we all go, there's a difference that we can make, and there's a love that we can show. Yet, there are still so many outside of this circle who are different in all the things they do. People are saying hello in different languages. And though it can sometimes feel uncomfortable, we can draw a circle for all of them too. It doesn't mean that the bigger circle is easy. In fact, it can get harder the more that we share. But wonderful things can happen when love is known and felt everywhere. As time passes, our eyes open and we see others that we really care for. So let us create bigger circles all around us for the rest of our days. And we can let our caring ripple out in a million different ways. In the circles all around us, everywhere we go, there's a difference that we can make and a love that we can show. And as our circles grow and grow and grow, we watch them wonder-eyed. And we remember that that first circle started with just the love that we hold inside. I'm going to invite you into a meditation with me for a moment. So you can close your eyes or find a space to look at. And I'm going to ask you some questions that you can think about just for yourself. Have you ever changed your mind about something important? Just think about that for yourself for a minute. Have you ever changed your mind about something important? If you did change your mind about something that was important, what was that thing that helped you change? What made you change your mind? Now I'd like you to think about who someone in your life is that helps you grow, or someone maybe who teaches you about love. Who's a person that helps you grow or teaches you about love? And now think about how you can take that love and share that with one person today before you leave this space. You don't have to tell anybody, just think about it for yourself. What is one thing that you can do before you leave this space today to share your love with somebody? All right, now that we all have our love in our hearts and we are planning to share that today before we leave, we can say the Children's Covenant, and we're going to explore how to be together here and in our RE space today. Ready? In this place, I am kind. In this place, I am loving. In this place, I am a friend to the earth and all animals and people. In this place, I am loved.
Please stand, and as we sing our kids out, and make the arch as they go to their religious exploration. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you
We will now receive today's offering to support the programs and ministries of this congregation. Through these gifts, we strengthen our bonds of community and nourish the possibilities of the future. If today is your first time with us, you are welcome to pass the basket. Your presence is your gift to us.
Life is full of joys and sorrows and things that fill our heart with gratitude. And since we share in community and create this place together, sometimes we share those joys and sorrows and gratitudes with one another. If you have a joy or a sorrow or gratitude you'd like to share with the entire congregation, you can write that down on these sheets of paper that are in the kiosk each week, or you can send them in to Joys and Sorrows email. And if there's a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to light a candle for while I'm reading these, please feel free to do so. They're on the sides of the sanctuary. All right, there was one other one. Aha, okay. All right, so one of the skills I have that is unseen in this congregation is that I can tell really quick when someone tries to sneak an announcement into the joys and sorrows and gratitudes. It's a very keen and acute ability that I have. And it happens. We consider that cheating in the biz. And at first look, this one feels like one of those, but I guarantee you that it's not. It's from Noreen Halberstad. And she says, "My joy is that UUFCO and Me is hosting its first handbell ringing workshop this Wednesday. Ever since joining in 2012, my dream has been to start handbells here. This is that first step. Happy, happy, joy, joy." She almost had it. But then she closes with, "More info in the skyline." So we'll call it an announcement/joy, Noreen. Susie Pearson writes, "A little delayed, but I believe we have made it to the time of fine wine in our 43-year marriage. After all the ups and downs, I still love my Marky Hickman, my beloved, my best friend. Here's to many years to come. But Max Merrill shares a joy as well. Grace and I are celebrating 23 years of marriage today. And Max would say that in his opinion, love is lovelier the second time around. And if that weren't enough, Flora wants to wish a very happy birthday to her best friend and partner in crime, Chris Patrick, on this birthday today. And if I'm not mistaken, is it your birthday today as well, Peter? Fantastic. So that's a lot going on. If Peter and the Hickmen/persons and Max and Grace and Chris could stand up, and if anybody else has a birthday in August, would like to stand up, and then we will sing happy birthday/anniversary to you. Ready? Happy birthday/anniversary to you. Happy birthday/anniversary to you. Happy birthday/anniversary to you and you all. Happy birthday/anniversary to you. Wendy Howard and Bob Barber share a joy. They enjoyed a 2-week road trip to Banff in British Columbia, and they attended a nephew's wedding, visited Lake Louise, and stopped to visit old friends and acquaintances, including a nice visit to Eric Ekstrom. And Diane Darling shares, it was such a joy while visiting family and friends back in Colorado 2 Sundays ago that I attended UU services. Given that this was only the second UU location after this one I have ever been to, imagine my joy when they said the same covenant and they sang Spirit of Life. I felt immediately welcomed and at home. As we know, all the Unitarian Universalist churches across the country have their own flavor, and they're all quite different, and yet we do share some of the same rituals and words, but not across all the congregations, of course. And Dana and Jerry Regan share our third heartbreaking remembrance for our son, Donovan. Our hearts are with you, Dana and Jerry. We know that all of our joys and our sorrows and our gratitudes, whether spoken aloud, or if we light a candle, or whether they remain just silent in our own heart, we know that they are held tenderly by the love of this congregation.
Each week, we create a space together to hold our joys, our sorrows, our gratitudes, our sneaky announcements. But that's not all we bring on Sundays. We also bring our beautiful, busy minds that might be planning or worrying or analyzing or time traveling or daydreaming or maybe all of those things at once. So in a moment, I'm going to ring the bell once to invite us into a time of silence. Then I'll ring the bell twice to bring us out. This is your time. You might simply notice your mind, your breath, or our beautiful shared space. If it serves you, I offer this prayer and intention. It's a classic. May we find the serenity to accept what we cannot change, the courage to change what we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing this song. It's an African-American spiritual. Guide my feet while I run this race. It's a song that asks for help as we go about our lives and try to do the things that we are called to do. And of course, this song uses the metaphor of running a race. We know that we all have different abilities. We all have different ways of moving in the world. And so we remember that as we look to this metaphor around moving in our lives. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Race in vain. Please be seated.
Our guest speaker today, Reverend Micheal Harris, is the former director of the Open Door Houseless Ministry and former associate minister of spiritual care and education at Bend United Methodist Church. Prior to moving to Bend in 2019, Micheal owned and operated a foster care home for developmentally delayed adults for 15 years. Currently, Micheal is an administrative supervisor and mental health therapist for Forever Family Therapy with offices in Bend, Prineville, and Redmond. Micheal lives in La Pine with his husband Keith, who is here, and his two fur babies, Chompers and Cleo. Please welcome Reverend Micheal Harris.
Wow, what a privilege it is to stand in this pulpit, Reverend Scott's. I have such a respect for that man. When my husband and I were moving to Bend in 2019, right before the pandemic, none of us knew what was about to hit us. We sat in his office and contemplated on where we're going to go to church. And it was a new experience for my husband, and he had proclaimed a faith in Christianity that had happened just about a year or so before we moved here. And we were trying to decide where we're going to go. And we had the best conversation with Scott. And he made it very difficult to choose the United Methodist Church, sorry. Even though my understanding is all retired United Methodist ministers end up here anyway, so, you know. This is something that I learned not very long after moving here. Our church has got a lot of retired ministers there, and I know some of you used to go there too. It's nice. I see at least one person back there that I recognize, Miss Randy Sue and Tracy. Thanks for coming, y'all. So what I want to do is I want to share an early memory I have with you. It was the late 1970s, and a young Michael was attending his first grade class in Odessa, Texas. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Odessa. I refer to that part of the country as kind of the armpit of Texas. It has a certain scent to it from the oil and gas in the area that they pump. And I was in my first grade class, which was led by Mrs. Christ, spelled Christ, but we all said it Christ. Mrs. Christ was reviewing, and she was defining our weekly spelling words. You remember those days when they'd write them on the board, and you'd go through them, and they would give you the definition? Well, one of those spelling words was gay. Now remember, this is the 1970s. And who knows how many words I learned that year, but for some reason, that word stood out. Well, why? Because Mrs. Chris said, well, the word means happy. And then she said, there's another meaning you're going to learn when you get older. I just thought to myself, what kind of word means happy, but then has a whole nother meaning that I can't learn about yet? But I began to understand that mysterious meaning that she had alluded to whenever I entered 6th grade and experienced my first crush on a boy in the classroom there. And I carefully hid this crush, and I kept it to myself because the culture had already influenced me to view being gay as something to avoid at all costs. In fact, it was presented to me as a choice that if you made, it could be deadly. It could actually kill you. It was the 1980s. And the AIDS crisis was making headlines as gay men had begun dying of some mysterious illness that they had not defined yet. And to make matters worse, I even heard this on the media at times. It was presented almost as a punishment from God for being such a reprobate. And it was presented that way in the mainstream culture. Now, after starting 7th grade, the negative connotation of the word gay had spread from the playground to the pulpit. All through my teen years, I heard many Southern Baptist sermons that warned of the sinfulness of such a lifestyle choice. Now, you're recovering, what was that, a Methodist, recovering Methodist Episcopalian? I'm a recovering Southern Baptist, so I understand this. The only dilemma I had was that I didn't remember ever making a choice to feel the way that I felt. Now, for sure, I knew I could make the choice to steal, or I could make a choice to lie, and I knew that those were wrong choices, but I didn't understand why the choice to be gay was the one that I just hadn't made it consciously. It wasn't something that I ever was presented two options and chose that one. What made matters worse was that this choice that I had somehow made was guaranteed, according to numerous sermons I heard, to have eternal consequences. And I was destined for a very hot home in hell. That's what I was taught as a child growing up. Now, on October 26, 1985, this internal conflict that I had, it came to a head when I decided to get saved and respond to an altar call that was given after a fiery sermon. This one action, I thought to myself, would finally guarantee that God wouldn't be so mad at me that they would punish me for eternity. I also fully believed that this action would put an end to the internal fight raging within me. Guess what? It didn't. I continued in conflict between the church and myself. This conflict continued into college and into my marriage to a lovely lady named Sheila. Yes, I was one of those that tried that too. Since getting saved hadn't stopped my feelings for men, then surely getting married would fix these persistent and pesky feelings. I just knew I would find freedom from my condemned feelings in marriage. Guess what? I didn't. In the fall of 1995, Sheila and I moved to Newberg, Oregon from Oklahoma so that I could begin graduate studies in clinical psychology at George Fox University. I decided that I wanted to be in the mental health field. I chose George Fox because it offered graduate-level theology classes that were integrated into the psychology degree program. And what I learned in those theological and psychological classes began to change me. The first evidence of this change was expressed during, believe it or not, one of the only disagreements I ever remember having with Sheila. The disagreement, let's call it what it was a fight. The fight between me and Sheila regarded the church's teachings around the Virgin Mary. Now, what kind of couple gets in a fight over the Virgin Mary? Yeah, a couple of people that really cared a lot about their faith, I'll tell you that. I had learned in those classes that there was not widespread agreement amongst theologians and scholars regarding the sacred doctrine, the one that I had just taken for granted. And this revelation, it deeply disturbed my consistently conservative wife as she watched her husband slowly adopt more and more liberal positions. And like I said, when I entered George Fox, it was to become a mental health therapist. And a funny thing happens whenever you decide to be a mental health therapist. You got to kind of face your own issues if you want to help others with theirs. It's not something you could ignore anymore. So I began to face the overarching issue of my life, my sexual orientation. And as I grew in self-acceptance, Sheila and I grew apart, eventually resulting in a divorce. Now, we've had our reconciling moment. We had a moment to talk about all of this at one point. And so we're good now, but it was a very painful time in our life. And by this point, I had begun avoiding church. I just felt conflicted whenever I went. I tried attending more mainline liberal churches, but even there I had a hard time fitting in with doctrines that now I questioned. One belief that I questioned was the doctrines and the descriptions of a place called hell. A place that was described to me as being incredibly similar to the one that Dante called the Inferno in his Divine Comedy. Many of the images used to conjure fear in modern Christianity can be traced back to this poem from 1321, not to the Bible. One afternoon while training on a hill for an eventual hike of Mount St. Helens with a friend, I had a very freeing change of mind. I abruptly stopped walking and told my friend, look, if being honest about who I am sends me to hell, then I will go, because I don't want to spend eternity with a God who punishes someone forever and ever just for being honest. That was that. I had decided that honesty and integrity demanded that I stop condemning myself and creating my own hell right here on earth. Instead, it was time to put faith in my own understanding of divine love. Little did I know that in another part of the world at about that same time, a famous Pentecostal preacher, Carlton Pearson, was having an awakening of his own. His shift was prompted when he saw news reports depicting the atrocities that had been committed in Rwanda against the Hutus and the Tutsis. I was already familiar with Bishop Pearson. I had a girlfriend in my rural Oklahoma high school whose family had a second home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She often talked about attending services at Bishop Pearson's church. It was called Higher Dimensions Evangelistic Center, or Higher D for short. She had praised the church for being a powerhouse of praise music and dynamic preaching and even racial diversity. I was also familiar with Reverend Carlton since he was a frequent guest and even a host on the Trinity Broadcasting Network, which, I actually used to watch. No doubt, Bishop Pearson was well known within the conservative Christian world. He was even viewed as a son by the famous televangelist Oral Roberts, or infamous, depending on what you think of Oral Roberts. In addition to leading a church with 2 Sunday morning services and 1 Sunday evening service, Carlton's congregation supported many ministries that served the Tulsa community. At its height, the church's ministries included a food pantry called Raven's Nest, a prayer adoption agency, a preschool, a home for unwed mothers, a bookstore, a prison ministry, a credit union, a counseling center, a music and dance ministry, the annual Azusa Conference, and the Azusa School of Ministry. Needless to say, Bishop Pearson had a lot on his plate and a lot of pressure, both financial and social, just to maintain the status quo of his church's ministries. Well, then in 1998, Bishop Pearson was watching the news with his infant child, his daughter, in his lap while eating some dinner. The news was reporting on the horrific atrocities visited upon those Hutus and Tutsis while they were in exile in Rwanda. Watching that news report that night, his faith was forever changed. And if you would indulge me, I just want to read an excerpt from his book when he talks about that moment when he changed his mind. The news report showed women and children with bellies swollen, collapsing to the ground, and mothers with withered breasts. Flies gathered in the corners of their eyes and mouths, and bones protruding through their black, leathery skin. Feeling guilty and angry, I berated God concerning his earth project, which appeared to me to be a big failure. God, I don't know how you can sit on your throne there in heaven and let these poor people drop to the ground, hungry, heartbroken, and lost, and then just randomly suck them into hell, thinking nothing of it, and be a sovereign God, not to mention a God of love. There was an eerie silence before I heard a voice respond from within me. Is that what you think we're doing? Sucking them all into hell? Well, that's what I've been taught, I responded angrily. And what would change that? Well, they need to get saved so that they can go to heaven, I answered confidently. And how would that happen? Well, I responded, somebody needs to go over there and get them saved by preaching the gospel to them. Well, then, the voice resounded, if you really believe that, why don't you put your food down and your baby, turn off your big screen television, catch the first plane over there and get them saved? I burst into an emotional mix of tears of grief, compassion, shame, guilt, and even anger. And then I retorted, don't put that guilt on me, Lord. I'm doing the best I can. I can't leave this little girl and boy that you gave me. If you wanted me to do what you suggested, you should have made that clear to me before you gave me this family. I'm doing the best I can. Besides, I can't save the whole world. Precisely, the voice responded. That's what we already did. But these people just don't know it. And regretfully, most of you who claim to be my followers don't believe it. If you would spend your life living and giving this message to people, you wouldn't see such painful and pitiful global pictures. And the voice concluded, we're not sucking those dear people into hell. Can't you see that they're already there? We're bringing them into heaven before they suffer even more in the hell that you have created for them and continue to create for yourselves and others all over the planet. We redeemed and reconciled all of humanity at Calvary. That is what the cross was and is all about. So following, many of you may recognize that. It's part of your name, Universalism. That teaching that says, it's all good, we're all going to make it someday. But following his faith-shaking revelation, Bishop Pearson was faced with a choice. He could retreat from his revelation and continue preaching the gospel that he was accustomed to preaching, or he could be honest and preach a new gospel. Pearson chose honesty as he stood in front of his church, and indeed the whole Christian world, and he preached a sermon entitled, Jesus, the Savior of the World. Now that title of a sermon wouldn't have raised any eyebrows at the time until he asked the following questions during his sermon. He said, what if no one goes to hell? What if everyone is saved, they just don't know it? Asking these two simple questions put Reverend Pearson and Higher D on a path of permanent transformation. Now, as you might imagine, this new gospel resulted in some dramatic consequences for Carlton and his congregants. These consequences are depicted in the 2018 Netflix movie, Come Sunday. It was based upon NPR's This American Life episode entitled Heretic. If you haven't seen the movie, I challenge you just to go look it up and watch it. Come Sunday. Eventually, the church that once welcomed thousands every Sunday and choked the roads with traffic to its services, it dwindled to just a few hundred faithful. The church found itself bankrupt and facing foreclosure. Those left worshiping there were offered a new place at Trinity Episcopal Church in Tulsa. They worshiped there for 2 years until in 2008 the remaining congregants followed Carlton and they were welcomed by All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Tulsa, where he ultimately became an associate minister. Bishop Pearson used to refer to himself in his sermons as a Unicostal. That was his way of blending the Unitarianism and the Pentecostalism. And his shift in faith is chronicled in 2 books, primarily. First one is called The Gospel of Inclusion, reaching beyond religious fundamentalism to the true love of God and self. And the other book, with the long title, much like many of his sermons, was called God is Not a Christian, nor a Jew, Muslim or Hindu. God dwells with us, in us, around us, as us. Bishop Carlton Pearson passed away on November 19th, 2023. So why am I telling you these 2 stories? Well, I know we all make meaning out of stories, right? I hope these stories touch you. Because on a personal level, it was the Gospel of Inclusion, that book, that opened the door to me to begin exploring becoming a part of faith communities again. Prior to that, I had given up. And believe it or not, my first foray back into faith communities was attending the Unitarian Fellowship in McMinnville, Oregon. Even very briefly was their education director, very briefly. And then after that, I became an All Souls Everywhere member of All Souls Tulsa. It's one of their ways that you can stay connected to their church even if you don't live right there in Tulsa. And ultimately, I found myself serving as an associate minister for a season right here in Bend at the United Methodist Church. Without Carlton's light, I wouldn't have even known that it was possible for me to go back and be a part of the ministry. His light helped me see that way back to where I could tend to my spiritual needs free of shame. Now, Keith and I actually got to meet him once whenever we were I met him several times, but to actually sit and talk to him, we got to meet him after a church service at the First Unitarian Fellowship there in Honolulu, where he was a guest speaker. And it was at that moment that I was able to just give him the big thank you for writing that book, for being brave. I can't imagine what it'd be like you know what it's like, try to keep the things flowing, the money flowing, keep the ministries going, keep all these balls up in the air as the pastor. But for him to stand up and preach his truth, it changed lives. His life and his legacy reminds us all that we have lights to shine in this world. We shine our lights with how we live, with how we love all of those that we come into contact with every day. We never know when the shine from our light is illuminating a pathway for somebody else who's struggling. You know, the state of this world can seem like a very dark place sometimes. And if you're like me, you find yourself troubled and shook almost every day. Just processing the news can make me feel hopeless. However, there is hope when I shine my light, and there is hope when you shine your light. Darkness must give way to light, always. It seems fitting to end my talk here by recalling the chorus of that old song that we used to teach children, probably still do. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Amen. Thank you.
Please rise and bow to your spirit as we sing our closing hymn. We are Unitarian Universalists here, and our religious ancestors, our theological roots are just that, a universal love, a God for our ancestors, a God that was so loving that of course there is no hell. And since then, Unitarian Universalists, now we have all kinds of ideas and beliefs about God and we're not God. We're all over the map. And that's how we like it. But we still believe in that main truth and that message that Reverend Michael was saying, that love is at the center no matter what it is we do. We also have a wide range of people who love hymns and aren't crazy about hymns. But this is a fantastic hymn. So whether you have roots in church or whether you're new to congregational life, we invite you to sing this one. And this is one of those fun ones that you can just belt it. Sing it out. Don't worry about being on pitch and key. This one's let's get it rousing. Let's get this song rousing, you all. Come thou fount of every blessing. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our ear to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy ever ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of wolf all silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is just begun. Come thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, help our hearts and tell of love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Receive this blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rains wash away your worries and the breeze blow new strength into your being. And all the days of your life, may you walk gently through the world and know its beauty.